watching Rogers TV.
Learn all about the creation of the National Capital Region on The History of Ottawa, according to Phil Jenkins, on Rogers TV.
Hi guys, my name is Vi and I'm a part of Encore Ottawa 3. My set at the Meridian Theatre is coming out this week and I hope you tune in.
It's been 2 years later still.
Join me, holistic chef Daniela Croco, for season 4 of Simply Cooking by Chef right here on Rogers TV.
This is Rogers TV Ottawa.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning and welcome. Shh. Good morning. My name is Su-Ling Ching, and it's my honor to be the President and CEO of the Ottawa Board of Trade. On behalf of Mayor Mark Sutcliffe, the Ottawa Board of Trade, and the Ottawa Business Journal, welcome to the Mayor's Breakfast, another sell-out, actually oversold event. So thank you for being here. I'm joined this morning by my co-presenter, Michael Curran, the president and publisher of the Ottawa Business Journal, our premier business media outlet. I hope that you are enjoying a productive and successful fall season. We are so thrilled to be gathered here, over 300 of us, together in City Hall in downtown Ottawa. Ottawa is built on the unceded Algonquin and Anishinaabe territory. The peoples of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe Nation have lived on this territory for millennia. Their culture and presence have nurtured and continue to nurture this land. We honor the peoples and land of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe Nation. We honor all First Nations, Inuit and Métis peoples, and their valuable past and present contributions to this land. I want to say thank you to the team at City Hall for hosting us here this morning, and thank you to the city, our event partners at the Centurion and Rogers TV as well, for working with us to change up our usual event format so that we could host more guests this morning at this sold-out event. Thank you all for being here, for investing your time and energy in the growth of our business community and the building of our city. We hope you are making really good connections and that you find the information and insights today valuable. A special welcome to our board chair, Brendan McGinty of Strategies 360, past chair, Ian Sherman of Relationship Capital, and board members, Aaron Benjamin of the Canadian Live Music Association and Rick Chase of Gifford Carr. We are grateful for your steadfast leadership and dedication to our community. I would also like to acknowledge the OBOT ambassadors, Linda McCallum, Dr. Christina Romulus, Megan Connolly, and John Nelson. If you're not currently an OBOT member, please connect with one of these ambassadors to discuss member benefits. To all of our OBOT members, volunteers, and partners, thank you for ensuring that Ottawa has a strong voice of business. We are pleased today also to welcome the Honourable Stephen McKinnon, MP for Gatineau, Quebec. Thank you for being here this morning and for hosting the Board of Trade and our colleagues at the Gatineau Chamber recently at the NCR Caucus. We look forward to our continued work together on regional economic development priorities. Please help me in welcoming Councillor Kathy Curry, Councillor Alan Hubley, Councillor Catherine Kitts, Councillor Marty Carr, and Councillor Tim Tierney and Councillor Glenn Gower. Thank you for your continued dedication to our city and your hard work. I want to make a special welcome to Mike McGann of Interrent REIT and CLV Group, who was recently named Ottawa's CEO of the Year. Where are you, Mike? Stand up. Mike will be celebrated at our upcoming Ottawa Business Awards event on November the 23rd. Please save the date. Tickets will become available once we have announced all of the recipients next week. Yesterday, we were so proud to name Grant and Pam Hooker, founder of the famed Beaver Tales, as our Lifetime Achievement Award recipients. We have so much to celebrate in Ottawa. Welcome to the Senators corporate team, including the new CEO, Cyril Leader. I don't know where he is. And hi, Cyril, and Aaron Crow, the new COO. We're so excited to have all of you here. And finally, welcome to our honored guest and newest addition to the Ottawa business community, Michael Andlauer of the Ottawa Senators. I don't know if Dan Dory is here from Deloitte, but he gave me this jersey. And since then, we've hosted Daniel Alfredson, Pierre Dorian, today Michael, next month at our CEO Talk, Cyril Leader, and all of us were gifted tickets to Sunday night's game, so I was there as well. So I didn't realize this was going to become my uniform, but I'm really grateful to have it. I'm very grateful. The Ottawa Board of Trade is the voice of business and a key advocate for economic development in our nation's capital. Our mission is to cultivate a thriving world-class business community, one that drives affordable, inclusive, and sustainable city building. To that end, we would like to recognize this as Small Business Week, as declared by our friends at BDC. This celebration of entrepreneurship is important, as our local small businesses are the heart and soul of our community and our economy. I want to thank Mayor Mark Sutcliffe for hosting us with Ecobia and RGA on Monday to kick off this week, and to thank our partners at Invest Ottawa, Ecobia, OBJ, and the U.S. Embassy for co-hosting events with us throughout the week. This week, we also released, alongside our colleagues at the Ontario Chamber, a new policy brief called Mind the Gap, addressing the mental health and addictions echo pandemic. The brief provides recommendations both for industry and government, calling for more comprehensive solutions and practical tools to improve mental health outcomes. We are advancing this work locally with our partners at United Way, the Ottawa Labour Council, and with the Mayor's Office, with more to come on that next week. Small businesses continue to grapple with the compound effects of the pandemic, and we continue to advocate for their support, including but not limited to the extension of the forgivable portion of the CEBA loans. We admire and thank our small business owners and entrepreneurs for your creativity and determination. Your contributions to our region are immeasurable. And today, I would like to recognize one such entrepreneur. Sandy Tunwell, who is the founder of Account Train Inc., is celebrating a milestone 30 years in business. Sandy is a former OBOT member of our board of directors and a past recipient of our Small Business Awards. Sandy, I have a small token of appreciation here for you, just to say thank you for your determination and your community contributions. Thank you for being here. Hopefully everyone has received their copy of our latest edition of Capital Magazine, a tool designed for the leaders in our business community to share the great things happening in our region, highlighting the businesses, people, and opportunities that make up our great Ottawa story. You can also find the content at capitalmag.ca. Thank you to our friends at Tag Gordon Group for co-publishing this important piece with us, and to all the businesses, leaders, and writers who make it possible. One update on our new offering, OBOT Pillar Partners, which was created to elevate our advocacy and economic development priorities. Some spots are still available, so if you would like to be involved, please contact us. Thank you to our inaugural partners, Meridian Credit Union, Colonnade Bridgeport, the National Capital Commission, Enbridge Gas, Quad Real Property Group, and most recently, Bental Green Oak, for your leadership in our business community. We welcome new partners as we expand our efforts to create a competitive business environment and fine-tune our attention on key objectives like small business support, advancing high-growth sectors, and downtown transformation. Our Downtown Ottawa Action Plan continues to advance with key partners, consultations, and the engagement of urban experts. Stay tuned for our next steps and continue to share the message that what happens in downtown has a direct and immediate impact on every business, every citizen, every visitor in our region, and as the nation's capital across the country. Moving forward, we call on all Ottawa businesses to join us as members and partners so we can better support our local elected officials and our officials at every level of government to prioritize a competitive business environment and economic growth agenda. Policy matters, and it is the work of the Board of Trade which is uniquely created to do this work for the benefit of everyone in our National Capital Region today and for our next generation. As we kick off this breakfast, let's recognize the great organizations that support this speaker series. Our lead sponsor, Hydro Ottawa, Algonquin College, our global sponsor, Casino Lac Limi, Commissionaires, Enbridge, Ottawa Senators Hockey Club, RBC, The Westin, Zen Books, our global partner, Oakwood, our AV sponsor, Edelman, our gift sponsor, Eamon Hardin, our food sponsor, Collège La Cité, our coffee sponsor, Capital Office. A big thank you to all of our sponsors. It is now my pleasure to welcome our feature sponsor today, Marjolaine Houdin, Regional Vice President for RBC.
Bon matin tout le monde. Good morning, everyone. It's nice to see a lot of familiar faces. For those of you who have not had a chance to meet yet, like Suling mentioned, I'm Marjolaine Houdin. I'm with RBC. I'm a senior leader with RBC. I have a responsibility for personal and commercial banking. I've been with the bank 30 years, and I have the immense privilege to live here with my family in Ottawa. It's our responsibility as a big bank to support the community where we work and where we live. And I heard it again today, this morning. You feel that we're there, that we support you, and that we're out there with our expertise. You see RBC T-shirts everywhere. It brings, it brings pleasure to hear that you feel supported. So thank you for that. It's very special to hear that. And you know what else is very special? Is to feel the buzz, because there is a buzz in the city at the moment. And I think the buzz is here since we have new owners of the Senators. So thank you so much for the new owners of the Senators, with the new leaders in the community that decided to jump in. And a special thank you to Michael. Thank you for that. Very interesting, because since we've announced the new owners, there's a bit of a difference here, because in the past, my phone would ring nonstop to say, do you have Taylor Swift tickets? Because RBC, partner with Taylor Swift, the campaign, and the big tour in Canada. I don't have any tickets yet, just to let you know. But now there's a change, because people are calling to say, Marjolaine, do you have tickets for the Sands? Because they know we have the box, right? 106, we've had the box now for quite some time, right in the middle of the ice, and right behind the players, right? We're right there. Now people are saying, Marjolaine, do you have tickets? I want tickets. And so I'm telling you, this is very special, because even my dad lives in Montreal, a big Habs fan. Hey, no, just a second here. So, I know, so, he says, Marjolaine, penses-tu que tu peux m'avoir un petit billet, là? Tu sais, juste un petit billet à quelque part, là. Puis, j'ai pas besoin de voir la game des Sens avec le Canadien, là. Je veux juste, I just want to see the Sens. So, pretty special, isn't it? And I couldn't believe it. And last night, he texted me. He told me, fille, oublie pas de prendre ta photo avec Michael. So you owe me a picture there. Otherwise, I'm in trouble with my dad. No, but all joke aside, merci, Michael. On est content de t'avoir dans la région. Les gens de la capitale nationale, les gens d'Outaouais, ça nous fait du bien. Ça nous fait du bien aussi. Ça fait un petit velours de savoir que tu parles français. Merci beaucoup. A big, big thank you to you for bringing this buzz. we feel the love, we feel the support. Thank you for all the support in the community. I wasn't at the game on Saturday. I was in Europe, but as soon as I came back, of course I heard about the win. But I also heard about how classy it was, the ceremony before the game. Very special. And so thank you for making us feel that we're all part of this new journey. So go Sens, go.
Beautifully said, Marjolaine. Thank you. So it's now my pleasure to welcome to the podium His Worship, Mayor Mark Sutcliffe. Thank you.
Thank you, Suling. Bonjour tout le monde. Wow, what a great turnout. Standing room only. It's like a Senators game here. A sellout here is a little smaller than 20,000, but it's still very impressive turnout this morning. Je suis très heureux de vous accueillir à l'hôtel de ville. Et aussi, je suis très heureux que les sénateurs ont gagné hier soir 6-1 contre les Capitals de Washington. We're coming off a big win, 3 wins in a row for the Senators. So this is a very exciting time in our city. And I'll tell you that earlier this year, I went through a pretty interesting experience where I got to meet all of the different people who were interested in buying the Ottawa Senators. And the first reflection that I had upon that was just how amazing it was that there were so many people interested in investing in our city. I think that was a really, really positive sign. People who were interested not just in our hockey team, but in our community. Very successful people. And I met every single one of the serious bidders for the Ottawa Senators and had interesting conversations with all of them and posed for some selfies with a few of them, some of the more famous ones. But I'll be honest with you that one meeting that I had during that time really stood out, and it was with Michael. Michael came to my office just with one other person, no big entourage. I don't think we took any pictures that day. We talked for a long time, and Michael asked a lot of questions, more questions than probably any of the other groups asked, about the city, about the people of Ottawa, about Senators fans, about the community, about the relationship between the Senators and the city, about the future of our community, about the role that the Senators could play in that future. And that really resonated with me. His level of commitment to the community, his interest in our city, and his passion for hockey and for community really stood out for me. So I was delighted when I heard that Michael was the successful bidder for our hockey team. And I've heard him talk since then about how it is our hockey team, not his hockey team. He's the owner, but it's our hockey team. And so I think we are really, really fortunate to have Michael and his partners, some of whom are successful local business people and entrepreneurs, great leaders in our community, some of whom are new to the city of Ottawa and are going to bring their investment of time and money and energy to our city. We're very fortunate to have this group of people owning our hockey team going forward and being led by Michael Andlauer. And we're going to get to know Michael a little bit this morning. But Michael, I want to say thank you for choosing Ottawa. Thank you for investing in our city and in our community. And on behalf of everyone here, I want to welcome you not just to our breakfast this morning and not just to our community, but welcome to Team Ottawa. Michael Andlauer. And thank you for doing this. We're a month late. We had this plan that Michael was going to be the speaker at the breakfast last month. and then the deal didn't close on schedule, so it was a few days late, but we had Pierre Dorion as our guest last month, which was fantastic, and Pierre is here this morning with a lot of members of your team. And maybe we should highlight as well that your new president of hockey operations, Steve Steos, is with us this morning. And Steve, welcome to Ottawa. Bienvenue. And Michael, c'est important de souligner que, comme Marjolaine a dit, vous parlez français. Ça, c'est très important pour notre communauté.
Absolument, merci. Bon matin tout le monde. Marjolaine, j'aimerais avoir le nom de ton papa pour que je puisse lui donner mes billets. You know, this is kind of overwhelming, to be honest with you. This is not my style. I'd rather answer the questions that you asked me, but you know, it is. This city has been unbelievable. The reception. You know, my wife and I rented a place in Westboro, and it already feels like home. Just the people are just so warm and welcoming, and I'm glad this is a bit of a toast. I guess had we lost 3 games in a row, it would have been a roast. I'm expecting that, but nonetheless, I'm really excited. I'm really excited about the opportunity, and I already feel at home. And this is not cliche. I really do, and I'm really looking forward to this venture. You know.
Yeah, venture, adventure.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about your background and how you got to this point, because first of all, we have something in common. We're both Reformed Montreal Canadiens fans, although I became a Senators fan a lot earlier than you did. But you grew up in Montreal and very, very humble beginnings with a single mom. And you were a Habs fan from a child and developed an interest in hockey. But tell me what life was like growing up for you.
I mean, pretty normal, really. Even though you don't realize that when you're a child. But you know, as long as that you have food on your table and you have friends to play with, and you're going to school, things are pretty normal. I look back today and I just see what my mom had to go through. I was born in France. Expo 67. My mom and dad, my father was sent as an envoy for Expo 67 in Montreal, and Charles de Gaulle, Vive le Québec libre was the order of the day. It's kind of ironic because my mom left, and I left Montreal when René Lévesque took power. So like a lot of Montrealers when business moved to Ontario, but. Yeah, and then whatever happened, and my mom was left with a child at 4. When I was 4 years old, and in the 70s, it wasn't easy to raise someone with a single parent and all. But she always focused on education and made things work out, and we lived in front of a park, I remember, and so I used to spend my whole day at McDonald Park and playing hockey and pretending I was Guy Lafleur. Like I'm sure a lot of people in Ottawa would pretend that they were Alfredson, 10, 20 years ago. So grew up in Montreal, and my primary school then ended up being transferred to Toronto. My mom was working for an advertising agency, and so I did my growing up in Ontario, Toronto, and humble beginnings. Put myself through school, slugging freight for a company called Day & Ross. And that was right around the time when deregulation was happening in the transportation industry in the early 80s. And I still have my payroll change form in my office, which I framed from $7 to $7.35 an hour at January 1st, 1984. So I remember how important it was to get that increase, because at 44 hours I was able to make $300 a week, and I had $250 basement apartment rent payment, and I thought I was a king, just so. Puts things in perspective, when I have thousands of employees today and as frontline workers with inflation and all the stresses that frontline workers have, and trying to make it work. So put myself through school, and that was I went to York, never graduated, but I ended up learning the business, and
what made you decide to go into business for yourself? When did that passion develop, that interest in entrepreneurship?
Yeah, so going out of school, I went to work for Day & Ross, which is a McCain family-owned business, and they were big on management trainees. They hired me as a management trainee. I learned the business, my thirst for knowledge, my thirst for achieving, and then unfortunately when you're young you think you know so much, right? You're a little cocky, confident, and I probably wouldn't have liked me if I saw me today at that age, but but that gives you that kickstart to confidence, and I just I couldn't deal well with intercompany politics, no pun, but it was one of those things that I just get things done, and I had nothing to lose. So I had, interestingly enough, Aaron's in the music business, and my first customer was Sony Music, and they had an artist called Celine Dion that they rings a bell, yeah. And she had to, and the president, Rick Camilleri at the time, wanted to create a studio for her and Canadian artists, and they kind of blasted the walls out and created a CD manufacturing and studio and all, and they left their shipping department to one door, and I went in there with a solution and said, I'll do all your transportation. And anyway, so I started my own, and Sony became Warner, Warner became EMI, and I started doing all the transportation for the music industry, and then music, video, and so ATS started from those roots, but basically, just working hard and having a vision and creating a differentiating factor to that industry, and caring for that customer more than the Purelators and the FedExes and the likes, and just really digging in and understanding, and that's that really was it. So hard work and the differentiating and a little bit of luck too,
Yeah, and from there you got into transportation for the healthcare industry, right? Is that? Yeah,
that started in 1991. So I had spent some years at Day & Ross on learning the craft of air freight forwarding, courier, LTL, trucking, but I never really looked at myself as a transportation person. To me, it was what was inside the box that I was moving that mattered, and then one day. And very successful business all the way through. Went public in 2005 and 2008. Obviously, when the financial crisis, I decided to take my company back private, even though I only owned 25% at that time of the public company, and kept all the institutional investors of that company whole, because a lot of people lost a lot of money through that period. But I just felt it was still a very good business, and kept those relationships, which have helped me today, as a matter of fact. I never thought I'd be seeing them again. During that period, my son was doing his homework one day. Well, at least I thought he was doing his homework on the computer, but he asked me who my favorite artist was, and I said, he reminded me who he thought was my favorite artist. It was Supertramp, and I said, what was the album? And he's looking up, and I said, he's 11 years old. And so I tell him, and and he says, I'll download the album. And I said, what are you talking about? And Napster was around. And I looked at him and I said, son, you know this house was built around the transportation of music and entertainment, and I realized it was my epiphany. I said, my God, one of these days people won't be buying CDs and DVDs, and kind of shifted gears in '09. And it just so happened to be at the time when another owner of an NHL team was having financial difficulties and had to sell his team, and I happened to own the farm team of that team. I'm not going to say their name, I know. I'll say the other team. And I was at the right place at the right time, and everything seemed to work out. So I sold that part of the business, but I kept the healthcare, because once again, there's a differentiating factor about healthcare. Moving narcotics, temperature control. There was a different perspective of it, and if we can focus on that and really focus on doing things right, we could win. And that's how we morphed into ATS Healthcare. So I sold that business, did a liquidity event, bought a piece of the Montreal Canadiens on top of the AHL team that I had, and then my passion, as you can suspect, is hockey. There's a nice balance of work, love, and play in people's lives, and or hopefully, and my play is hockey, and that's how it's come.
Yeah. And what lessons have you learned in your business career? What values do you bring to that work? Because you seem, you strike me as a pretty humble guy and a person of integrity, and obviously that you just described how your relationship with some of the investors and how they came back later, and so what have you tried to do during your business career? What values have you tried to bring, and what have you learned along the way?
I think that I remind myself that framed picture of my payroll change form. And that to me drives it. And also, that expression of managing by wandering around. I like to be front and center and talk and listen. You do that enough times and you can smell the cookies burning. You look at people in the face and you kind of, if there's an issue, and just like in the hockey business, it's about people. We're only about, in my business, it's just about people. And these frontline workers, our drivers, are our ambassadors to our company. A lot of companies don't see, the people that make the decisions in the boardroom, but they do see our drivers. And to making sure that they represent you well, but also understand that when they leave to go and deliver or pick orders or whichever, that they do it because they're proud of doing it. And so you have to lead by example. I mean, during COVID, I never worked from home. Well, we were essential service, but for myself, I had a choice. Our executive team had choices, but to me, it was too important to be front and center. So I think part of it is being passionate with all the members of your team. And, so we have holiday parties, and we do have, we create that environment where it's not just a job. So I think that's really it. The other aspect is, if you have a vision, is you have to make sure you look at it and be very clear. So that communication is important, and the feedback is probably more important. And so that's helped me along the way. And you have to find a point of differentiation. You just can't be me too. And we look at our hockey team and constantly trying to find what is the point of differentiation that's going to, there's so much parity in the league. Everybody wants to be me too, and where you're going to win is if you find that point of differentiation. So I think the combination of those things have helped me in my experience working in the front lines, being close with your employees, and finding that point of differentiation. And then, the one thing that transcends generations is hard work. I've never heard successful people who haven't worked hard, and whether it be in business or in sports.
So let's go back to when you heard that the Ottawa Senators were for sale. At the time, as you mentioned, you were a part owner of the Montreal Canadiens, which was your team growing up. So you got to be part of that world and go to Habs games. And what was your reaction when you heard that the Senators were up for sale?
It was interesting. What did it mean? I was going through and don't get me wrong, I've had a really great, 13, 14-year relationship with Jeff and the partnership group. And by the way, they're still together today. It's still the same group, except for me now. So it's been collaborative. But my desire to be a part owner of the Montreal Canadiens was really to win a Stanley Cup. And I didn't feel I had that alignment, and I'm not going to go into details, but it's, Jeff has a last say, and I respect it, and I was there for him when he needed me. And at that point, there are times of frustration. I play to win, and I think Steve can attest to that. He's been with me for a lot of my hockey career, so I thought, my God, is this an opportunity? And as I said at the press conference, Ottawa's, is a bit. It's between two major markets, and I love being the underdog. When I started my business, a lot of the big players said there's no way I was going to make it. So, give me that challenge, and that intrigued me. That truly intrigued me. Plus, Ontario hasn't had a Stanley Cup in a long time, so we want to bring the cup back to Ontario.
Exactly.
So the process, started. So I actually, Jeff was sitting in my. The seats I had in Montreal were near the Zamboni. I didn't want to be behind the bench. Don't like to be seen on the camera. I guess I had no choice now.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, no kidding.
I've seen you a few times in the last 3 games.
I've seen you too. You were in the box too. I even had a fan come. I was so embarrassed. I don't know if you heard it, but a fan I got caught taking selfies, and then a slew. And then one of the fans goes, "Hey, Mr. Andlauer, you should be mayor of the city." And I've got the mayor behind me.
We can trade places if you want.
When we lose 3 games in a row, we will.
Okay. Or after the next budget. One or the other.
And so the process, so I was sitting in my seats, and we kind of talked about it. I said, "Hey, what are your thoughts?"
So you're talking to Jeff Molson now?
Yeah, so Jeff and I are talking, it's just the two of us, and he said to me, he said, you should probably own your own team. And I kind of took me back, like, I guess I don't own a team. But he was, and then I obviously I had to speak to my wife about it, and she's been amazingly supportive. She's going to the real estate thing this afternoon, but and she's let me be me, which is amazing. She's an amazing lady, and an amazing mom, and so off we went. So started the process, and I must say it was it was a crazy process, and not a fun one, but went through it anyway. And then I realized that I had an opportunity to make it to the finish line. The mayor did ask me if I want to take a picture in front of the Ryan Reynolds, and I said no, it's okay.
Yeah.
So today I get to get my picture with Ryan, with the mayor.
Yeah.
Finally, which is probably the better timing. So we went through the process, and it almost felt like an episode of TMZ, the way that the whole process went, and then. But when June happened, and there's a lot of hard work. But when June happened, we got the announcement. Then I felt, and now we can go to the finish line. And it took a while. And part of the reason it took a long time is that we have, you mentioned Mike McGahan and also Kyle Bratz, who was the previous CEO of the year, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. Yep, Kyle Bratz.
And they're both two partners of your Ottawa Senators. So. I think I'm really in good company, but with these two, there are other Ottawa business people, and the amount of scrutiny that the NHL puts you through, and they can probably attest to that because is very tedious and it takes a long time.
Yeah.
So it took a while. But we made it to the finish line, and here we are. I'm super excited to have the team that I have, and being part of this community. Have some real estate developer partners as well. That's not my strength. So I think that we have the right chemistry, the right team. The right governance off the ice to do the right thing for the community. One of the first orders of the day before I became the official the owner, as I went to the Sens Community Foundation golf tournament, and that to me was important. And I don't think Gary was too happy that I was going to do a Sens function. But I said it's not the team; it's a foundation. So so that I feel really comfortable with the team I have off the ice, and obviously on the ice. We can talk about that too.
Yeah, they're doing pretty well.
Yeah.
But when that moment happened, I think we spoke around the time that the paperwork was signed and it was official, and the announcement was about to be made that it was done. Can you describe the feelings you went through that you were now the owner of a National Hockey League franchise? Something that you would have only been a dream at one point in your life.
Yeah, the one point was later in my life. I always wanted to hoist the Stanley Cup as a young kid. Like a lot of young Canadians. The emotions, I didn't think it was going to be much because I was a minority partner of another team, and but then you realize the privilege it is to be an owner of a team. And as I always talk about, with privilege comes responsibility, and I feel that responsibility, and I'm not, this is not a toy. It's my passion, but I realize this is more than just a hockey team. And I, obviously evidenced by today, we won last night. Everybody feels good about it. The amount of civic pride that we can give to the region, hockey is part of the fabric of our country, and so for me, I look at this as a responsibility, but if Steve and Pierre have put ice this team, it's a fun one too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you've talked, as I said earlier, about your ownership being a stewardship, that you're aware of the fact that you're taking the baton from Eugene Melnick and his daughters, and from Rod Bryden, and from Bruce Firestone, and the founders of the team, and you're carrying the baton, and someday you'll pass it on. Someday, I hope in the far, far distant future, but you realize the role that you have to play, and the team belongs to the community.
Absolutely, and I think it was evidenced by the ceremonial puck drop on opening night. I think it's, and by the way, I did mention at the press conference and thank my children for letting me use their inheritance, so to enjoy it. So I hopefully I pass it on to my children. Yeah, so to me, it absolutely, it's you can see the passion in the city of your Ottawa Senators. So it's evident, that it makes total sense that this is our team, and I'm just the steward for it, and that's I'm excited. I think I can do. I can serve you well. I almost feel like I'm running for election here.
Like I said, we can switch jobs.
We're going to, and I think the experience that I've had in minor hockey and as a partner with the other team, that we will be able to bring success, not only on the ice but off the ice too.
So what does that look like? What are your, and I know it's early, but you're starting to put the plans in place. How do you foresee building a successful organization and building a team here that can win the Stanley Cup for Ottawa? Because I know that is the goal.
So you're talking about on the ice now?
Well, the whole organization.
Yeah, the organization. Yeah. Certainly the fan support has been incredible already. I think the players could feel it, certainly over the weekend. So that's important. My son actually works for the NHL, and so he works in the war room half his life and does central drafting the other half. But he was in the war room on the other night, and he was looking at some of the other games, and the fan support wasn't quite as there, and it makes a difference for the players. They can feel it. Being that seventh man on the ice can make a difference, and so how do you engage the fans? How do you make sure that they feel proud? How to make sure that they're and proud of their team? So obviously there's a community aspect, being front and center on the ice. Obviously it's not by accident that we have this team. So Pierre needs a lot of credit for having architected this team. And we have some great young leaders on our team and good community. I don't know if you've met Brady Tkachuk. This young man is mature beyond his years. He's dedicated to this community. Obviously, he's going to be here for at least the next 7 years, and he has all the attributes of being a great captain. So it was. And then there are other great leaders, Claude Giroux, for example, who married a lady from Canada, and they live in Canada, and they're from the area. He brings a lot of experience on the ice for the young team. We have other players that are now signed for multiple years. You saw number 85 on the ice, might have been the best player on the ice last night. And he's signed for 8 years. Might be a Norris Trophy winner in the near future. That's my prediction. I watch all these young men, and they're going to be living in our community. They're going to be, some of them are going to get married. Some of them just got married this summer. They're all going to go to each other's weddings. They're all going to have children, and their children are going to come go to school here in our community. So that creates that bond. And there's one thing that analytics in hockey doesn't measure, and that's character. And that's, and I really believe that, the architects put the create the team, and you make it to the playoffs, but typically it's the players that win you a Stanley Cup, because they have that extra passion and desire. And I feel that on this team. There's already there, and our job is to continue to have that and continue to create an environment and then find that differentiation that's different from everybody else. But certainly we have a good start with this young core, and to build around that young core and keep the passion, which so.
Yeah, and how do you find that differentiation in a business like hockey, where there's so many teams and they're all approaching things in similar ways, and sports has become driven by analytics now, and everybody has access to the same data points and all of that. How do you find a point of differentiation with a hockey team?
Yeah, so the analytics has now become, it was once a point of differentiation, but it's how you use the analytics that's important too. You can be, inundated with data, and then you get numb to it, and you don't see the forest from the trees. And then there's other areas, but it starts with a good communication. It's being honest, being transparent, making clear that everybody understands that where we're heading. And I'm not going to get into too much details, but we've already found some points of differentiation that we can focus on. And I'm not going to say too much because I don't want the rest of the other teams to know.
We can't let the Leafs find out about this.
Yeah. No. So from that perspective, I think that we will get there. But and I feel pretty good about it. I've got a good team, and Pierre's now has more support, with Steve, and Steve's bringing on more folks in to complement and support and to make sure that our players are the best they can be. So,
how do you see the future? It's kind of interesting for me to be asking you this question, obviously, because I've expressed my own feelings on the subject of the future of the Senators and where they could play eventually. I don't think we need to be in a big rush on that, because the arena is that the Senators are playing in now is perfectly fine. I was there on the weekend. It was a great atmosphere. The game was sold out. But I think the time to think about those kinds of decisions is before a building becomes obsolete or falling into disrepair and that sort of thing. And we've seen examples of stadiums and other facilities that have been left too long. So I think there's an opportunity. I've said that before. I think there's an opportunity for us to have a conversation around where the Senators could play for the next 50 years. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, that was a topic, a central topic with the owner, with the bid, obviously. And a lot of, I guess this has been going on for probably 6 years, I think, right? With the initially with another group and the previous owner, with Rendezvous. I learned about that. I mean, ultimately, that's one thing I learned, by the way, when I met with the mayor. I had no idea that Canada, which seems so far away, which isn't really, by the way, it's only half an hour drive. If you live in Toronto or Montreal, you'd know that what half an hour gets you in traffic, not very far. But Canada is part of Ottawa. And then he showed me the map of how it was, Ottawa's 3 times the size of Paris, or?
It's 10 times the size of Paris.
There you go.
Yeah, 4 times the size of Toronto.
There you go.
Geographically, yeah.
Yeah, so it's, that's a lot of garbage pickup.
Yeah, you don't want to be the mayor, trust me.
So, I mean, for me, it's about the fans. It's what the fans want. That's obviously what drives, that's the engine that drives our team. So it's important to listen to the fans. It just so happens our fans live in Ottawa-Gatineau area, and so it's they're also taxpayers. So there's, and we spoke, and interestingly enough, our opening day game was at 1 o'clock, and had the opportunity to go back, and we ate downtown in the steakhouse on Elgin Street, and couldn't find a parking spot. But it was nice. It was vibrant. It was great. And interesting enough, it was a server from Gatineau. My server was from Gatineau. He spoke French. He talked about the proximity, and asked him about, Saturday night when there's a game in Canada, and it says it's not quite as busy, it's not quite as vibrant in obviously you got 18,000 people that are in Canada at the game, and the downtown's not happening as much. It's interesting to look at what it's, from an economic standpoint, what it means, and I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done, but it seems that people want the arena downtown. That seems to what the initial feedback that I have. Certainly the NCC is desirous of it for the LeBreton lands. We have spoken about it. My gut feel says it's the right thing. Our fans seem to feel that way as well. So there's alignment. Now it's just a matter of working collaboratively and doing what's right. And for me, that's all I'm going to focus on. It's what is right, what's right for our fans, and everything will fall in place. To me, this is my passion. This team is my passion. It's about sustainability. I want this to feel right 5 years from, that's why I tell my employees I don't have a job as a CEO. I don't slug freight anymore. I don't drive a truck. My only job is to make sure that those employees are gainfully employed in 5 years from now. So I look at it in the same realm. I want to make sure that what we're doing is the right thing for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years from now. So I guess it's to be continued, but the feedback is critical, but I get a feel that there's no opposition. There doesn't seem to be that pushback. So let's work collaboratively and do this. Roger Greenberg is looking at doing what's right for the city in the fundraising of this hospital, and we're working collaboratively to make this happen. So I think we can do the same thing for an arena here.
Absolutely. So we're almost out of time, unfortunately, but you're getting to know the city a little bit, you're getting to know this community. You see how passionate the fans are. You've described yourself and our city as an underdog, and I relate to that. That's, I think a lot of us do. We're often overshadowed by Toronto and Montreal and overlooked. And so what's your message to us? Now, you've had a chance to get to know us a little bit. What's your vision? What do you picture a few years down the road? What are you working towards, and how can we all line up together on that?
I really can't answer that question. It's a loaded question, but the passion is there. I did not anticipate how grassrooted the passion for this team is, which is, this is bonus for me. It wasn't in any of the financials so the passion is there. I can feel it, and that excites me. Like I said at the outset, the outpouring of the warmth and the thing about this city is that I walk around and talk to people and I feel the authenticity of people. It's the most Canadiana city that I've I come across. People are respectful and and so it feels right, and I think it's just a matter of taking one day at a time. I've got a great team. I mean, one of the, I think the best thing I ever did was bring Cyril Leader back here. He's
Everyone agrees. Also a former CEO of the year.
all right for the
true.
Myers Group.
Yeah. Before that.
So, I mean, I think I really don't have a message for you. I'll take your guidance, and like I say, we'll take it one day at a time, and it's a process. I mean, it's not, we want to. My passion is there. I mean, I look over at my hockey guys here and say, I just want to. I've never done this before. I took so many selfies over the past couple of weeks, but it was in the arena. But the next selfie, I want to take some selfies on the ice with the cup. And that's what I want.
Right on. We all want that too. We want that too, and we want it before any other Canadian team gets to do it. It's long overdue. Michael, thank you so much. I can't say